being last place in the East as they are to being a top 4 seed, which brings us to breaking news as we say hello to our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what is developing here outside of Milwaukee?
Malika, sources tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent Alex Saratas have started open conversations that are active right now with the Milwaukee Bucks about the realities of whether his future is best staying in Milwaukee or the realities of moving on elsewhere. And my understanding is a resolution to this, and whether this could lead to a trade request, is expected in the coming weeks. So there's a timeline there. As you said, 9-13 overall. They just lost a 16-point lead to the Washington Wizards on Monday. And I'm told Giannis Antetokounmpo has been frustrated over the recent losing, but so have John Horst, the general manager, Doc Rivers, the head coach. There's been a lot of frustration within that Bucks organization over the losing, and also a sense of tension around the locker room about what this means for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I had one source even tell me and describe the situation as the writing on the wall for what's to come with Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was sold potentially on a championship vision by John Horst and Doc Rivers, returned, recommitted to this team. But this is a situation where this Bucks organization could be faced with serious consequences depending on how the season continues to play out.
Okay, so the writing is on the wall here for how this could go if the Milwaukee Bucks are not able to make some sort of drastic change now that we're at this quarter mark of the season. Shams, thank you so much for that insight. I'd like to welcome in Chiney Ogwumike, Danny Green. In some ways, this feels like an inevitability, Danny, but I'm curious your reaction to the news that now we are marching towards the point that Giannis could not be on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Are we shocked? I'm not shocked. I don't think anybody is shocked. We've seen him, again, I didn't think he'd be one of those guys to take down Instagram posts, but he's shown signs in the past, even before yesterday, that he's been frustrated and that it was time for him, that he wanted to be out. His family moved back to Greece. They should have probably looked at this and entertained this past summer. They tried to double down, sign Miles Turner. They got rid of Dame. This was a lot of bad moves, and right now, what we expected is coming to a head. We thought it would happen earlier. They played well earlier, but right now, him being out, having those injuries, having that little groin situation, and Ryan Rounds being his next best player is showing like I can't win with this. I can't do anything with this, and he's just very frustrated as a superstar player.
Yeah.
And he wants a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate as someone who probably wanted to be there as long as possible, but what I think about is that I'm not surprised because they've exhausted all options, in my opinion. They not only emptied the cabinet, they emptied the kitchen, and on top of it, for their future, they mortgaged their house. So what else is left for them to sort of move, whether it is with assets or just on the team, to maintain this expectation and vision that they collaborated on to win a championship? But like, if this is the case, what a championship team would be getting is someone over the last 3 years that averaged 30 and 10 and 5 on 60% shooting. It would be huge, a huge move.
Right, so since we're talking about ways in which the Milwaukee Bucks still, again, Shams is reporting that we're inching closer to what has felt like a situation that's going to come to a head at some point, whether it's during the season or in the summer. We're asking what it is the Milwaukee Bucks can do to salvage this, if anything, and that seems like a question for our front office insider, Bobby Marks. So let's bring in Bobby now. Bobby, what options here does Milwaukee have?
Marks. Yeah, Malika, they're running out of options here. I think once we get to December 15th, most of their roster, most of the players are eligible to be traded. So you're looking at, can a combination of Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis getting something out in the marketplace here? Two players that make a combined $37 million. Remember, they've got one first-round pick to move in a deal, one in either 2031 or 2032. This is a roster that is top-heavy in contracts, unless you're going to move off Miles Turner, who's trade eligible starting on December 15th. So from a purely looking at it from Milwaukee's perspective, Malika, there's not much left there to go out and move.
Something we do know about John Horst, the Milwaukee Bucks general manager, though, is if there is a move to be made, whether it is stretching Damian Lillard's contract, he has gotten crafty in order to try to maintain this roster at a championship level without Giannis, but they're running out of options. As we say hello to our senior insider, Brian Windhorst. Brian, if they're not able to get to that point, which it seems increasingly likely that the Bucks will not, who's picking up the phone and calling the Bucks for Giannis?
It won't be that way. It'll be Giannis instructing the Bucks where he wants to be traded, and then the Bucks trying to make the best possible deal with that team. and this already happened. Shams reported this a couple of months ago. You can put out whatever verbiage you want around it about whether he requested it or asked for it or hinted at it, but he basically said, I want to be a Knick. Can you make me a Knick? And they had discussions for some period of days, and that those talks didn't progress, and so they dropped it, and he reported to camp and tried to focus on it. The big difference between Giannis now and in previous years is that in previous years, the Bucks roster was built out better to handle him and support him.
Sure.
The last 2 years, he's missed 24 games. In those games, they're 12-12, and they won 49 and 48 games those 2 seasons. They were really good when Giannis was out there, and when he wasn't, they held the line. This year, they're 1-5 when he doesn't play. It's really 1-6 because he left 1 game in the first quarter. They lost it. When he's been on the court, they've been 500. This team is significantly below where it's been. Giannis is just following up on actions he's already set in motion.
They've lost 8 of their last 9 games, and of course, as you can see, Giannis hasn't always been available this season. He's had some knick-knack injuries here. But you bring up a good point, Brian, in that this was the situation over the summer. They got off to a hot start. I'm curious, though, bringing back Shams Charania here, what happened that made Giannis say, okay, I want to start the season and stay in Milwaukee, and what's changing now?
Look, essentially, there were failed trade talks in August. There was a multi-week exclusive negotiating window for the New York Knicks, as it was described to me, on a potential Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. They were aware, the Bucks were aware, the parties that needed to know were aware that Giannis Antetokounmpo, if there was a team outside of Milwaukee, he wanted to play for the Knicks. No deal happened, and John Horst, the Bucks general manager, who has creatively made time and time again, Drew Holiday in 2020, Damian Lillard in 2023, and the Miles Turner acquisition, he has creatively found ways to maneuver and make this team better. He had done it again, and Doc Rivers, they had sold Giannis Antetokounmpo and ownership on a championship contending team. And the result, there's a results-based business, a results-based situation. Giannis Antetokounmpo has made it clear he wants winning. And so the results have spoken for themselves. And if they keep trending this way, this is just the start for even more hard conversations to come. And also, like I keep saying, the inevitable writing on the wall, as one source told me today.
I think that you point out an important characteristic. Giannis, all of us know him as a winner. That has been a driving force for him since he came into the NBA. But he is the third longest player to sit with any current franchise, trailing only Steph Curry and Draymond Green. He's been with the Milwaukee Bucks since 2013, 2014. And so what you don't expect is the Milwaukee Bucks to move on from a player like this in a market like Milwaukee easily. So, Brian, what do you expect the next several weeks or even months to look like as we march toward the February 5th trade deadline?
Yeah, so this is what's going to come down to is whether Giannis instructs the Bucks to re-engage the Knicks or not, or if he moves into the direction where he wants to trade, would he widen that list? The thing is, the Knicks were not in the best position to trade for Giannis in August because they had just extended Mikal Bridges and he wasn't able to be traded. It was a strange time that Giannis would approach the Bucks about that situation. It would be different after December 15th when more players are available to be traded. The Knicks really believe in this roster. When they engaged in those talks, they thought this team could potentially win the Eastern Conference and challenge the Western Conference champion, whether it's the Thunder or whomever. I'm not sure the Knicks are on the same page. So the Knicks, I'm sure, when this news reaches the Knicks internally are going to have discussions about what they offered in the summer and whether they're going to be willing to change their offer if the phone rings again coming from Milwaukee. And if you're a couple other teams that you may think would have interest in Giannis, you're having meetings in the next 12 to 24 hours to figure out what your offer might be if Giannis says he would be interested in your team.
Well, if you're the New York Knicks and those conversations hadn't reached you before 12 o'clock Pacific today, they've certainly reached you now that our show's been on air. And if you're a player for the Milwaukee Bucks, ESPN's on every TV and all the bars and in the locker room and all these different places. If you're walking past the TV right now and you're a Milwaukee Bucks player and you're seeing our show right now, are you hoping that this is something that's resolved quickly so they can move on either way? Or are you just hoping that eventually this will sort itself so that Giannis is a Buck for life?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a part of the situation multiple times.
Right.
In Philly with Ben Simmons, James Harden. I've been in San Antonio and Kawhi trades. You just hope that this is not a distraction for a long period of time. Whether it's good or bad, you just want it to be settled and over with so you don't have to answer questions for other guys that are not yourself and looming around your whole season and your whole group and atmosphere and locker room about this scenario. So yeah, you just kind of want to get it done and over with as soon as possible, but you hope that the best situation happens for you and your group. But that may not happen, but I'm sure they're trying to find ways to keep Giannis in-house.
Based on how this has gone so far, I know what Shams is saying, there have been incremental changes. It's not necessarily something that we expect to be resolved in the next couple of days, but we'll certainly keep following it over the next couple of weeks. But since we're speaking about the New York Knicks, let's stick in the East here. That's where the Knicks and Celtics, they battled last night in TD Garden, and this was their 500th regular season meeting between